So before bringing out award-winning author Lulu Delacre, I'd like to chat a little bit about her upcoming title, which, if you didn't already guess, features the adorable tree frogs that you see on these beautiful book covers. Our favorite, curious, fun-loving tree frog siblings are back in Rafi and Rosi Menú. In this fifth and final book in the early reader series, which can be read in any order, by the way, the Coquis visit Abuela's hometown, where they learn to cook up delicious Puerto Rican treats, aranitas, guava shells and syrup, and pasteles. The Spanish edition, Rafi y Rosi Menú, will be available in both hardcover and paperback, just like the English. And as in all Rafi and Rosi books, there is a glossary at the beginning to help readers with unfamiliar words and terms, and a Did You Know section with additional nonfiction information. So even though the stories are fiction, the content is thoroughly researched, accurate, and authentic. Award-winning author illustrator Lulu Delacre's childhood in Puerto Rico inspired Rafi and Rosie's adventures. For Menu, Lulu researched the history of native foods and visited the location of the story, where she took hundreds of reference photos. I'll pass it over to Lulu herself now, but if you have any questions for her, be sure to leave them in the chat.
Hi, everyone. So my name, as you heard, is Lulu Delacre. I am an author and illustrator, bilingual author and illustrator of children's books. And I am thrilled to be talking about these books, the series, in the whole of the series. Let me tell you about myself. I was born and raised in Puerto Rico. I have short silver hair. I'm wearing a white shirt. And in the back, you can see part of my studio. It's a small studio, but it's actually very well lit. And I'm gonna, okay. So today I want to talk to you a little bit about the genesis of the series to start with. So what prompted me to write children's books, or to write about two coquille tree frogs? By the way, they are siblings. What prompted me to do this was actually my childhood. The island of Puerto Rico has given me so much, and it is the culture, the language, the traditions, the music, the food, the legends that surround all these beauty of this island, the people, all that I brought with me when I moved to the mainland. And not only I brought it with me, I brought it within me. And it all happened one day as I was waiting for my daughter to come out of art school. I had my sketchbook with me, and I started sketching. And what did I start sketching? I started sketching little tree frogs. Because why? Because every single Puerto Rican, when they leave the island, they listen to the song of El Coquí in their brain. It is embedded within us. When I call my friends in the island, I can hear the song of El Coquí. Cookie, cookie, cookie. So I started sketching. Out of these sketches, adventures, actually characters, came up. How did that happen? Well, I began to think about things that had happened to me. And as I drew them more and more, I knew that Rafi was going to be the older brother, the kind of brother that would sometimes play tricks on his sister and tell her, no, you cannot do this because you are too little. And because he's in my brain, he's about 5 years older than his sister. He knows a lot. He reads, he is curious, he's inventive, and he wants to go out and conquer the world. And his little sister adores him, but Rosi has a mind of her own, and she knows when to put Rafi in her place and teach him lessons. I love the relationship. They rose in the pages of my sketchbooks. And I tell kids when I go to schools, to be an author, sometimes you just have to draw and let those characters breathe in, breathe out of the imagination that you have, the antics that you've seen, that you've lived, the things that you have lived or you would like to do. So that's how all my books for Rafi and Rosi started. Today, I consider Rafi and Rosi ambassadors to the culture of the island. Yes, there are 5 books, and the first one was Rafi and Rosi, which began, by the way, with something that happened to me as a very young girl. My dad showed me how you can find iron in the sand he took this very large, powerful magnet. He poured, we had gone to the beach, and he poured some sand. This sand is from Puerto Rico, by the way. He poured it onto a cardboard sleeve, and he took the magnet under it and he moved it. And as he moved it, he showed that the gray sand turned into white sand, or whitish, and black sand, which is not really sand, right? It's science. For me, it was magical. I was very little. That little instance from my childhood kept in my brain, and I brought it up as Rafi, of course, tricks his little sister, telling her that he has magic fingers and he can turn gray sand into black and white sand. That first story led to two more, which appeared in Rafi and Rosi. And Rafi and Rosi is about the nature of the island and the science behind some of the marvels that we as kids think that are magic. So that led, having the characters, that led to Rafi and Rosi Carnival. And of course, as the title says, it's about carnival. El Carnaval de Ponce, por supuesto, porque el Carnaval de Ponce, it's a fabulous carnival where you have masqueraders, opportunities for Rafi to trick his sister and his sister to teach lessons to Rafi. And oh, by the way, it is really about the sibling relationship. And because it's set in the island, every single, the island gives the series the opportunity to marvelous rollicking adventures, which are plenty of troubles in which the key three for us get into and solve, either together or one of them, usually Rosi, solves it for his brother. So Rafi and Rosi Paris, because of course, you know that we have the last, if you didn't know, I'm going to tell you, the last Pirate of the Caribbean was Cofresi, who happens to be from the island of Puerto Rico, and Rafi and Rosi music, where I talk about the music of the island. How couldn't I talk about bomba salsa and plena? I had to. So I just wanted to mention briefly that all my books, as you saw, started with a sketchbook. This was the very first dummy of the first one. It happened in the first book, Rafi and Rosi, was published in 2004. The last one, Rafi and Rosi Menú, is going to be published now almost 21 years later. So I would say the cookies have had a long run. I have touched in many subjects that the island has, many of the beautiful subjects the island has to give us. It is rich with culture, with language, and I write both the English and Spanish, as well as I do all the illustrations. And unlike other illustrators, I do everything by hand. So yes, I end up doing all the illustrations for the books with watercolors. This is from one of the spreads from music, watercolors and color pencil. And yeah, you don't make mistakes when you do it by hand. You can't. Otherwise, you have to start all over again, which is the difference with digital, where you can actually remove things. But, as you see, this is also from music. The color, I tried in every single one of the illustrations to convey the beauty and the beautiful colors of the islands, even though I have very limited space in a beginner reader. And I had talked about the nature, the history, carnival, some of the traditions. We have many traditions, the legends surrounded forts like El Morro in San Juan, in Pirates, and I needed to end with food. Why wouldn't I, right? So Rafi and Rosi Menú, Rafi y Rosi Menú. And it is menu. Why? Because I struggled with this. I wanted to give kids a full menu. I started with the fact that there's one dish in particular that brings me memories of my childhood. I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, parents from Argentina, grandmother from Uruguay, married to a Cuban. Yeah, lots of Latino in me. And I wanted to reproduce a dish that really screams Puerto Rico when you are in the mainland, and that is the pasteles puertorriqueños. And pasteles puertorriqueños, if you don't know what they are, well, just go buy the book to find out not only what they are, how to make them, because the recipe that I have been doing for the past, I have been holding a pasteles making party for the past 20 years, has been tweaked to, I would say, perfection in my taste. Of course, I'm prejudiced, but it looks like nothing. This is a junta de pasteles made in my kitchen, and I hold a party because the assembly is very complicated. It takes many steps, and I hold a party to assemble them together, and that is what gives the thread that gives the book, the book Rafi and Rosi Menú, the platform in order to create stories that the little critters need to. Yeah, Guadalupe, you will have that recipe for sure, because it will be published both in English and in Spanish. The Rafi and Rosi need to surmount problems in the story, and because it is menu, I wanted to have an appetizer, arañitas. And if you don't know what arañitas are, again, get the book. The recipe is included. Arañitas, they are crunchy, delicious, better than potato chips. They are absolutely, and they're made with green plantains. You also have the main dish would be the pasteles, and then a dessert, guava shells in syrup. And I'm not quite sure how am I doing with time, because I haven't been checking. But let me know if haven't been looking at if I have a little bit more time here. Oh, okay. So I'm wrapping it up. 1 minute. So yes, let's see. Oh yes, I didn't tell you about this. Why Rafi and Rosi? Why did I keep doing these books for the past 20 years? Because kids love them, because kids respond to them. Actually, the last book, Rafi and Rosi Menú, in part is because these kids in a public school in Boston, Massachusetts, wrote to Lee and Low, saying, both letters in English and in Spanish, saying how much they liked the Rafi and Rosi, the characters, and how much they wanted another book. So I'm pretty sure that these second graders, who absolutely are fantastic in writing these letters, persuasive letters in second grade, they had a lot to do with the fifth book, because up until then, it wasn't sure that I would have another book. So after they wrote this persuasive letter, my editor came out of retirement to help me edit the last and final book of Rafi and Rosi. And I really hope that you get to read all of them. And I really think there's 3 adventures in each one. So 3 por 5, 15. 15 adventures to read. And once you hook a reader into the characters, once they relate to the characters, they will keep coming for more, because they want to know. They know how they behave with each other. They want to know what trouble they get in and how are they gonna get out of it. Muchas gracias, y lean, y cocinen, y bailen con Rafi y Rosi.
Thank you so much, Lulu. It's such a treat to see behind the scenes of your work, to see the sketches. And I think if you look in the chat, everyone agrees their vibrant illustrations are fantastic. But we did have one question. You sort of answered it. We had a question from Kim about whether you write in Spanish or English. And I know you said both, but I think we would love to hear maybe a little bit more about if one comes first, or what your process when you write is. And you're muted.
Actually, the story starts in the sketches, literally just drawing. And then because I have been doing this for a long time, now I come up with a little summary in English, and then I write it in English first. But then the beautiful thing is when I have to put it in Spanish, because I even 43 years later here in the States, I still have trouble with English language, which is why I adore my editor who's retired. But the Spanish comes so easy. It's just, oh my God, now I'm on vacation. I get to do it in Spanish. And there's always, it's a breeze. So because we're here in the States, I have to write first in English, and then it gets to be written in Spanish. It's not always, because I've done books like Olenguito from A to Z, which was first in Spanish, and there's a reason behind. And if you want to know, just check out the book out of the library or get it from Lulu.